Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to discuss the psychoanalytic theory, the three components of personality according to Sigmund Freud, the id, ego, and the superego. Let's begin. Freud developed the psychoanalytic theory of personality development, which argued that personality is formed through conflicts among three fundamental structures of the human mind: the id, ego, and the superego. Conflicts among these three structures and our efforts to find balance among what each of them desires determines how we behave and approach the world. What is id, ego, and the superego, and how they differ to each other? First, we have id. Id operates only on the pleasure principle, with no regard for anything else. It seeks immediate gratification and expresses impulses, desires, and instincts. In other words, the pleasure principle strives to fulfill the primitive and instinctual part of the mind that contains sexual and aggressive drives and hidden memories. It is an unconscious level of operations, meaning he or she possesses a very immature component of personality. Moreover, id insatiable instinct present from birth. That's why, if they are having the desire for something, they want an instant gratification for their selfish pleasure. To understand it better, we have here a few examples of id. First example: Peter is walking down the street and he is very hungry. He only has an id, so when he sees an apple pie cooling in a window, he takes it for himself. Next, Judy was thirsty. Rather than waiting for the server to refill her glass of water, she reached across the table and drank from Mr. Robin's water glass, much to his surprise. Lastly, a hungry baby cried until he was fed. With regards to the examples, we can say that id strives to fulfill our most basic and primitive urges, including hunger, thirst, and so on and so forth, for instant pleasure. Next, we have ego. Ego is a reality principle because he or she is a rational driven and has a pragmatic part of personality. Ego makes the decisions that dictate behavior. Ego is a conscious and preconscious level of operation. So it is less primitive than id and is partly conscious and partly unconscious. Its job is to balance the demands of the id and superego in the practical context of reality. Ego is a mediator between id and superego. Impulses and inhibition are rational part of the psyche. So the realistic part that mediates between the desires of the id and the superego. In addition, ego seeks to delay gratification of the id's urges until appropriate outlets can be found. To understand it better, we have here some examples of ego. First, Peter is walking down the street and he is very hungry. Jack Ego would tell him that he should not take the pie from the windowsill, but instead he can buy some pie right up the street at a local grocery store. Next, Judy was thirsty. However, she knew that her server would be back soon to refill her water glass, so she waited until then to get a drink, even though she really just wanted to drink from Mr. Robin's glass. Lastly, in line at the salad bar, Lucy really wanted to shove a handful of croutons into her mouth. However, since her boss was there, she decided to wait another minute or two until she sat down to eat. With regards to the examples, we can say that ego operates on the reality principles. It uses secondary process thinking to avoid negative consequences from society. In addition, it balances conflicting demands of the id and superego. Finally, the superego. Superego is the last part of personality to develop. It operates moral principle, which concerned morality, right and wrong. It is the pre-conscious level of operation. Superego develops moral conscience because it encompasses moral values. To understand it better, we have here some examples. First, Peter is walking down the street and he is very hungry. He only has a superego, so when he sees an apple pie cooling in a window, he does nothing. His superego tells him that it is someone's and that it is not acceptable to trespass on someone's property and take their pie. Next, Vicky knew she could steal the supplies from work, and no one would know about it. However, she knew that stealing was wrong, so she decided not to take anything, even though she would probably never get caught. Finally, Lucy couldn't remember the answer to test question number 10, even though she has studied. Ruby was the smartest in the class, and from where Lucy sat, she could see her answers if she turned her head slightly. When Mrs. Cruz turned her back, Maggie almost cheated, but her conscience stopped her because she knew it was wrong. Instead, Lucy took a guess at the answer and then turned in her paper. With regards to the examples, we can say that superego develops moral conscience because it operates moral principles with concerned morality, right and wrong. Moreover, it uses also ideals and morals to present ideal version of self to the world. Additionally, just remember the three phrases. In id, I want to do it now. In ego, maybe we can compromise. In superego, it's not right to do this. Thank you very much. I hope you learned a lot from our discussion.